Hello. Before I continue with this video, I need to apologize. It's been too long, and you're right. Whether that be in the videos, which still somehow trickle in views, the comments and how they're reminiscing about the times they had with this furry creature that I talk about. I know you want more, yet I've put it off. But as you can see, as someone viewing this video, I put a stop to it. Sick. Thank you. It's the one and only Chatter freaking Chipmunk, and he's better than ever. So yeah, this video meant to come out like late July and somewhere in between August, but then, you know, I did the most usual thing that people do, and that's upload an election video and then back-to-back Shrek videos. You know, nothing out of the ordinary. But now that that's out of the way, my brothers and sisters in Christ, we can finally focus back on Chatter Chipmunk, and I feel like I'm not in the right dress wear to be talking about this. So let me get into that good attire. Okay, let's pause the video so we can do a little cool funny cutaway. Much better. Usually when I do these Chatter videos, I have a long sleeve white button up shirt, but I decided to do a short sleeve one and a bucket hat. It will make sense later on the certain Chatter Chipmunk series we're talking about, so let's just get on with this. Most likely there's going to be some newcomers going into this video not knowing what Chatter Chipmunk is, so let's do a quick recap for those viewers. Pretty much Chatter Chipmunk was shown at these weekday long summer events that some churches like mine had called Vacation Bible School, but recently my church changed it to Vacation Church School. It's not that big of a deal, it's just that VBS sounds way better than VCS, you know? It's not that big of a deal, but at the same time, it feels like my childhood is ruined now. You would watch an episode of Chatter per day, and at the end of the episode, it will give you like 3 questions or so that the kids watching this can like answer them amongst each other. Throughout the episodes as well, would have like a moment where it just looked like a montage. Sometimes it would be, you know, normal pace, and then sometimes they would have it sped up. I'll point out some ones here and there, but only the ones that I feel like are noteworthy. And then once that's all over, you will get like this little plastic buddy that goes around the event that's centered around the Chatter Chipmunk episode, which is known as the BMBs. And no, for the 3rd time, it does not stand for Big Muscle Bears. No, it stands for Bible Memory Buddies, and if you do this again, I'm going to lose my patience. As for Chatter himself, there are 3 things that are really important to him in life, those being Jesus himself, helping out his friends, and a good bag of M&Ms. Not only that, but he also gets into some wacky and crazy situations as he tries to help out his friends in the name of Jesus. When watching Chatter growing up, it felt the same like VeggieTales, as with their Christian message and like all about Jesus, all of that stuff, it doesn't feel like it's just forcing it into your face, like, yeah, you love Jesus, right? You want to love Jesus. You should love Jesus or you're going to be in a bad spot. So now that that's taken care of, let's go and recap the Chatter series we have covered so far. The first one I covered on my channel was the mystery of the missing pandas. In that one, Chatter volunteers for a panda nature reserve, but during that, the pandas go missing, and they need to find the pandas before the panda inspector comes over there and gives them a bad review, and then they can no longer have the pandas there. So it's up to Chatter to find the pandas before that happens. The 2 things I want to mention from that series is 1, I have still no clue where this family went. If you have any information, please let me know. And 2, shouts out to Pops, literally the best character that's not Chatter Chipmunk. Pickle. And then the last one I covered was Wild Frontier Adventure, where Chatter goes on a field trip to this Wild West theme park. He hopes to mine some gold with his equipment that he brought from home, but unfortunately, someone has stolen his equipment, and now he's trying to find it, but at the same time, trying not to get his ass kicked by Wallace Jaw, the meanest kid in the world. A reputation that even the adults fear. And I'm not kidding, by the way, I'm being totally serious. The cops in this video do not know what the fuck to do with this case. Wallace Jaw's is like, nah, 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 and then Officer Fidge is like, where did he go? And then the kids are like, bitch, he's right there. This Chatter series we're talking about is another one that I found on the YouTube channel Lifetree Kids. Not only that, but it unfortunately is the last one on the Lifetree Kids channel. They only had 2. It was that one and the panda one, so I got lucky with Wild Frontier, but unfortunately, this is the last one they have on the here. I kid you not, there are some Chatter Chipmunk series that feel like it's lost media until it pops up on YouTube again, which is making it harder for me to cover any other Chatter Chipmunk content because I need it to be somewhere where I can record it through OBS. And this one's been pointed out to me, the Chatter Chipmunk Science one is on Amazon, but I don't know how to record that one. I know I probably need like an Elgato capture card or something like that, but I haven't looked into any of that yet. So that's my predicament right now. Until there's more Chatter Chipmunk content popping up on YouTube, I have less and less to cover right now. And the ones I found on YouTube are like fan made, which, hey, I like the chatter enthusiasm, but I really want the main deal, you know? And then it's also low quality ones, so maybe I'll dive into some that I feel like have a good enough quality to cover. Just let me know in the comments below. Honestly, I do appreciate it. Hey guys, it's me from the future. You can tell it's me from the future because I said so. I mentioned this part at the end, but I meant to also mention it here as well. But there was another piece of chatter content that I can cover as well, but I'm kind of staying away from it unless like 3 things occur. One being I've covered every single chatter media series that I could possibly do. Science, Wild West, any others that I could be forgetting about. The one that I actually found not too long ago before I made this high seas video. All of that. I've done it all, and then we can move on to this other one. 2 being that a lot of people actually asked for me to cover this, like they request the hell out of it, making me just have to cover it. And then the 3rd one being I've given up, I guess. And that's the animated chatter. There is a series on the Lifetree Kids in different versions of an animated chatter, and well, but this one I found on Lifetree Kids has like the best quality out of any other ones that I have not covered yet. And this one I'm covering today is Chatter Chipmunk, Chatter's High Sea Adventure. See, I told you, it makes sense because we're going out on like the ocean, the sea, so I made it sure it was like short sleeves and a bucket hat, you know. I thought it was clever. I thought it was clever. This seems to be like another classic one as well, like one that probably my church even did before we just started to just not show chatter anymore. Sad day, I know. So what's High Seas Adventure about? Well, in the description of the video of the first episode, it says, when Chatter stows away on a ship, he can't imagine the wild journey he's in for. Grumpy Captain Bleh, yes, that's his name, just roll with it, and quiet first mate Leo are searching for the lost island of Anderon, but their map seems to be missing the directions. When the crazy crew bumps into a mysterious sailor, the silly antics have just begun. Will Chatter ever make it as a ship's cook? Will the crew find the lost city of Anderon? How can God's word guide Chatter through this wild adventure? See what's in store for Chatter and his crew. Well, from what I have just read, I still have no clue what I just read. But I'm all here for the silly antics that are about to ensue, like they mentioned. One last thing before I jump into the series is that I want to quickly mention the main characters that we'll be with throughout all these episodes. It's because I don't want to be going through an episode and then when we meet one of the characters, I'm not interrupting the story at its most suspenseful part, like... Thankfully, there's not a lot of main characters in this one, as the description of the first episode pretty much told us the characters we're going to be with, and I'm not going to go through chatter again. So let's start it off with Grumpy Captain Bleh. This is Grumpy Captain Bleh, who is 1, selfish as shit, 2, probably smells like shit, and 3, is all around a piece of shit, and is also wearing a bucket hat. Oh. I didn't plan this. But yeah, Captain Bleh is just all around not a great guy. Like looking back on our past antagonists, like from the Panda one, we had Thing 1 and Thing 2, you know. They tried to deceive the Panda Inspector and were slacking on their work, but they said sorry, so that makes up for everything they did. Wallace Jaw, pretty much Stanley from that one episode of SpongeBob, but has a coming to Jesus moment thanks to Chatter and has turned a new leaf.
Jesus is good news.
This guy is way worse, and you'll see why as we crack open this puppy soon. The next character we have is First Mate Leo. 2 things. That's all you need to know about him. He's quiet for 99% of the film and has a weird relationship with his mop. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. Like for all these chatter characters, they have something that they just want to hone in on the character, and that's just all that's about them. Like for Pops, every time he said like a word that started with the letter P, he would punctuate it very loudly with a P, you know? Roll the clip again. P, P, P. So I guess for Leo, they just settle on, or at least someone did, was like, how about he has the weirdest infatuation for his mop, and someone else just said, roll with it. Perfect. Give this guy a raise even. And I don't even know why. They don't explain it. It's just like, hey, don't mess with his mop. That's pretty much it. And that's all the characters we have, really. That was pretty much it. So it's a very short cast because we're going to be on the sea. So we're ready. We're ready. We're ready. Remember, there are 5 episodes in this series, though for some reason, this one's the shortest one. Pandas and Wild Frontier were about 40 plus minutes long. This one barely is half an hour long. The last episode for this series is less than 4 minutes, which is usually an average of a chatter episode, but this is way less than that. But that's enough explaining. let's finally kick into this. Let's finally crack into Chatter's High Seas adventure with episode 1. Okay, anyways, so starting off episode 1 of High Seas Adventure, we get shown to this very cinematic shot out of all the other 2 we've covered, where it shows this message in a bottle floating out into the sea. While that bottle's being shown, we get slowly panned into the next scene where these kids are singing on the beach, cleaning up trash. These vocals for the kids? Not bad, honestly. If I was the choir teacher, I'd be pretty proud of them right now. And as they're picking up trash, they slowly pan the camera to the left, and that's when we get introduced to Chatter. What I think is funny is that the last 2 times they had like more of a purpose to why Chatter was at this location. For example, with Missing Pandas, he was walking towards the trail to get to the Panda Reserve. And then in Wild Frontier, it had him on a bus approaching the theme park from a distance. Here, it's just, fuck it, he's here. And as they're picking up trash, Chatter mentions like, oh, that's a pretty sick track you guys are bumping to.
We heard someone singing it over at the pier.
I don't think so. I just don't think so, actually. Chatter then asks if he could help clean the trash with everybody else, and they say, yeah, you totally can, which we then get into our first montage. I'm just gonna make this one the first montage that we're gonna talk about, being the cleaning beach montage. They do pretty much what I said. They pick up trash and Chatter uses his oddly looking human hand to help out as well. But as they're doing that, the vocals are just kicking in now. They're just getting on. Boogie down. Boogie down. Boogie down. But as they're cleaning, Chatter finds a bottle, but not just any bottle, a message in a bottle. And not just any message in a bottle, the message in a bottle that we saw in the beginning of this episode. The message that was in that bottle was actually a for hire paper to apply to be a cook at Skipper Zip's exploration. And that's when we find out why Chatter is at the beach with nothing with him. It is because he wants to go out into the sea, explore the sea, the ocean, the big blue water. And so seeing this for hire sheet to be a cook on board of a ship, he's thinking, there we go, that's my golden ticket right there. So he goes to Skipper Zips to see if he can be hired for a cook, which the lady at the front desk calls over Captain Blair. And I know what they were trying to have her do, which was to look like annoyed, frustrated, angry that she has to call over Captain Blair. She got the voice down, she got like the projection she needed for it. What about the face? What's with the face?
Captain Blair.
And now in comes Captain Blair to pretty much just tell them, hey, this is an old ad. We're not looking for a cook. Have a good day. But also, buzz off. And you also might be thinking, why advertise a for hire sheet like this in a message in a bottle out in the ocean? But it's gonna make more, but at the same time less sense later on into the episodes. But also, I want you to remember this scene right here. The scene where Captain Blair is looking at the for hire sheet. I want you to remember this scene here. Take this scene, put it in your head, save it for later. All right? Okay. Moving on. So after that happens, Chatter's of course a little bummed out that he can't go out into the sea and explore. So he comes up with the idea is that if they won't have me, I'll just stow away on their boat, which he does. He gets into a little crate and they carry him aboard unsuspectingly. After God knows how long, we finally get panned back to Chatter and somehow he's okay. Again, I have no clue how long he was in that box. It could have been minutes, hours, days even. But of course, this isn't an average chipmunk and he's fine, probably thanks to Jesus. Captain Blair, of course, is not happy to find Chatter stowing away on his ship, so he gives him an ultimatum. Either he tosses him overboard or he can be his unpaid cook. A little unpaid intern for the day. And because Chatter doesn't want to, die, not really feeling the option of having to go overboard and be stranded at sea, he decides to just be a cook because that's what he wanted to do. He's still on the sea, boom, it worked out in the end. Awesome. So after that decision's made, Captain Blair brings aboard so he can get introduced to the crew.
Chipmunks.
I'm gonna Anywho, Chatter gets introduced to the crew, which is pretty much just Quiet First Mate Leo, and that's when Blad tells Leo to go get the navigation equipment from down under. Again, the navigation equipment was actually in the bag that was on top of the box that Chatter was in, and that loud noise came from the bag because everything in there shattered. And how Leo finds this out is that he opens up the bag, looks in there, and he's like, darn. But not only that, he decides to reach his hand in there and just grab at it. That's not smart. Okay, put the bag around here somewhere. There it is. And... Hey, what did I put in here again? Huh. Darn. And of course, Captain Blad's kind of pissed off at Chatter for pretty much breaking all this, because if he didn't stow away, none of this would happen. But Chatter's like, hey, don't worry, because Jesus, he'll guide us. He'll show us where we need to go. Jesus is going to lead him to where we need to go. He's going to be our compass. And so Captain Blad's like, all right, you're our compass. And that's the end of the episode. That's the end of episode 1 right there. Not a bad start. Definitely a more calmer episode, I would say. I mean, that's how it usually goes. It just leads us into what we're going to expect out of this little 5-episode series, and then ends it off with probably Chatter being in peril. But I'm going to tell you, after this, it's just going to go 0 to 100 real quick. On to episode 2, where it shows Chatter's finally being let down from his little sticky situation.
Chipmunks.
But unfortunately, we're in a bigger situation now, as the whole gang is pretty much just stranded at sea and is waiting for someone to save them and guide them home. But the situation is about to get even more worse because a storm is approaching them. So they're not looking good right now, honestly. Captain Blad tells Leo to batten down the hatches, and that's when he starts humming the song that the kids were singing earlier and starts to show his weird attachment to the mop even more. Okay, I think we need to calm down with the mop a bit, Leo. Hey, Leo. Ever heard of Hooters? Chatter kind of remembers it, but is having a hard time trying to remember where he heard it from, which Captain Blad's like, oh, that's an old sea shanty he's humming right there. Well, I gotta tell you the history about it. But really quickly, I just want to say the lyrics of the song, because they don't sing it anymore after this. It was only that time and the one before that with the kids. So I had to listen to that part with the kids over and over again to just see what the lyrics were. And this is what I got from the lyrics. So it's sail, sail, sail the deep blue sea, searching for people who need to be free. The light of the world brings the light of the world, bars, to the lost island of Anderon. And again, that's something for later on. It's a surprise tool we'll use for later. But there's another part of this song as well that I want you to take the lyrics and then just put in your head. Put in your head. We're going to save that for later as well. Just remember that, all right? But back to it. Captain Blad fills Chatter in on what they're trying to do. They're trying to find the lost island of Anderon, the last civilization that has no contact with the outside world. And the reason why Captain Blad wants to find it so bad is just because of the fame, the glory, the wealth he can get from this. Remember, he's very selfish. Selfish as shit, to be exact. Chatter mentions how they probably never met Jesus before. They don't know nothing about him, which Captain Blad responds being like, oh, not you too. He's acting a little bit suspicious there by saying that. What do you mean by that, huh, Captain Blad? Captain Blad then shows Chatter the map for the lost island of Anderon. He points out the rolling Riptide Islands and then the Thousand Islands, which Chatter then makes a funny joke about.
And here, the 1,000 Islands. Everyone knows where those are.
In the salad dressing aisle.
Laugh. But there's one thing that's odd about the map, is that the lost island of Anderon is, of course, not shown there. They don't know where it is.
But do you notice anything peculiar about the map, Chipmunk?
They seem to have left off the island of Anderon.
Exactly.
So their plan is to sail to the 1,000 Islands in hopes that on their way there, they'll run into the lost island of Anderon. I just have a quick question though. There is a big gap in the middle of the map. Has anybody, just throwing it out there, has anybody tried sailing to the center of where it would be on the map? Because I feel like if you were to just, get in a boat and then you just sail where it would be in the direction of that on the compass, you'd find out. I feel like we're making this more complicated than it should be. If everybody knows the 1,000 Islands, everybody's maybe even been there, how has nobody been to this island? Does it work like that? I feel like it would work like that. I'm not a sailor, but at the same time, I feel like we're making this way more complicated than it should be. Anywho, after that, all this talk about like dressings and salads has made Chatter hungry, and he's wondering, when's dinner gonna be? When's lunch gonna be? Which Captain Blad then reminds him, you're the cook. Which then, this is when he does something pretty messed up. honestly, this should be strike 2, because strike 1 would be when he hanged him up by a rope as a compass. So let's just say that's strike 1. Strike 2 is that he takes away Chatter's M&Ms from him. You're on thin ice now, buddy. You're on thin ice because you're at 2 strikes now. If you do something that's at strike 3, we're done. We're donezo. And now that Chatter's M&Ms are taken away, he has to now cook for the crew. And then it goes back down under, and he finds that the kitchen is just a pigsty. It is just a complete mess. Open cans of beans everywhere, dirty carrots, dirty bread. It's just bad. But that's no problem for Chatter. He cleans it up with ease. And you probably didn't know this as well, but Chatter is Jesus Christ himself when it comes to fishing, because on his first reel, he gets a fish. He then thinks using these peppers are a good idea to mix with the fish. Bada bing, bada boom. Lunch is served. They start to dig in, which he tells them like, oh, I wouldn't, try digging into those peppers as much. Turns out they're hot peppers. And I'm no god when it comes to cooking, but at the same time, I can make myself a mean grilled cheese, let me tell you. And also, they only ate the peppers. They did not even eat the fish. They just ate the peppers, spit it out, and were like, this is ass. This is just a 2-pack of ass right here. But that's gotta wait because the storm is here, and oh dear god, Leo did not prepare the deck well enough. It is coming at them hard. It is just rain, pour, storm, lightning, thunder, everything you can imagine. They gotta retreat back onto the deck, which they come out dry. Other than Blair, he's got sweat marks everywhere. Gross. But as they're staying under just to survive from the storm, boom, that's when something hits them. And they're wondering what might have hit them, but then they're thinking, oh, we're in deep water. So that can only mean we're getting to shallow water, which also could mean that they might be at the lost island of Anderon. But that's gotta wait now because the boat is starting to flood. They are panicking. Oh dear god. That's the end of episode right there. Again. 0 to 100 real quick. And this is something I really mention a lot, but the narrator at the end of the episode always mentions 3 questions, like I said earlier. This one, it has 4. And the 3 questions follow as so. It's what do they hit in the middle of the ocean? How are they going to plug up the hole? Is Leo gonna mop up all that water? But then he ends it off with the 4th question I was talking about being, is Chatter going to taste saltwater M&Ms? And you can tell from his voice, his tone shifts. He's getting into it's serious in the first 2 questions, and then joking around with the 3rd question about Leo mopping up all the water, and then 4th is just straight up concern.
What could they have hit in the middle of the ocean? How are they ever going to plug the hole? Is Leo going to mop up all that water? Is Chatter about to taste saltwater M&Ms?
1, he doesn't have them right now. 2, it's just more pressing matters right now. We can worry about the M&Ms once we're safe. And we're gonna get into episode 3 now, where it shows the crew is trying to get out all the water they can and just figure out a plan on how they're going to plug up the hole. As Captain Blair and Leo are trying to get water out, they tell Chatter to find something, anything to plug up the hole, which he does. He found something that he was actually gonna save for later, but now's probably a good time. And what did he find to plug up the hole? Well, none other than some good old Hubba Bubba gum. They chewed the hell out of this gum, and it worked. I guess it did the trick. We don't have any confirmation, but hey, the boat stopped flooding, so it worked. And they did the trick like if the gum was flex tape. And while Leo and Captain Blair are now trying to plug up the hole and get rid of the rest of the water in the boat, Chatter goes back up into the upper deck to see the damage that was caused by the storm. And ooh, it's bad. It's kind of bad. But as Chatter's looking around on his telescope, he finds something. He finds a boat with a stranger on it. And he has an oddly similar shirt as well. Hey, wait a minute. Yeah, so I might have lied. There's actually a 3rd person I meant to introduce, but I decided to save it for this point. Meet Jonathan, who tells Chatter that he was actually kicked off his ship by his first mate and was given some supplies to survive, for example, like a bottle of sodas, which makes Chatter remember that the bottles that Jonathan has is similar to the bottle that Chatter got back in the first episode with the message in it. Chatter then shows Jonathan the message, which was that for hire sheet to be a cook, and Jonathan's like, oh my god, this was my message. This was my help me message. You saved me, Chatter. And while Chatter is happy about finding someone and saving them from pretty much what was going to be their death, he's just saying like, I just followed the ad. But Jonathan's a bit confused because he's like, the ad? Did you not see the map on the back of the ad?
The ad? You didn't look on the back? I drew a map on the back, so hold it!
Wait. What map? Remember when I said keep this scene in mind from episode 1 when Captain Blett is looking at the ad? This is what I wanted you to remember for, because we're going to have this scene right here, this moment, boom, stop right here, and now we're going to have this moment right here, boom, stop it right there. You want to know something that's off about that? Just take a bit. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Episode 1, it didn't have a map on the back. You are telling me there was a map on the back of this the whole time? You are trying to make me think there was a map on this the whole time when it shows there was never a map. Not at all. None, zip, nada. And now you're saying, but there was a map on the back of the ad. Are you trying to gaslight me? I think you're trying to gaslight me. I think that's what's happening right now. Because again, there was nothing on the map at the back. Because there was no map on the back of the ad. And now you're saying there is. Also, another thing, there's no island near them, of course, because we've seen there's no island. Chatter saw no island other than the boat Jonathan was in. So process of elimination, did the small boat hit the big boat? Because if the small boat hit the big boat, then I feel like there'd be a lot of more damage that even bubblegum can't fix. Anyways, Chatter tells Jonathan that they're in a bit of a pickle. The boat's kind of stuck, and he's wondering how he even got on the boat, you know, just how did this all happen? And then that's when Chatter mentions Captain Blett and Leo, and Jonathan realizes those two names are, you know, he knows those two names. And the reason why he knows those two names is because he was the captain, meaning that Captain Blett is not Captain Blett. He's just Blett, meaning Blett and Leo were the ones that kicked Jonathan off the boat, meaning this is his boat. Jonathan is the owner of this boat. And that just makes Jonathan even more happier. Not only is he saved, he found his boat. But wait a minute, because Leo overhears this and comes back up and finds Jonathan is back. Leo then informs Captain Blett about the recent discovery, and that's when they go aboard and confront Jonathan, completely dry again. They were just wet. And as they're confronting each other, they decide to scurry. They just start to run. But that doesn't matter right now because we're in another montage. The last montage I'm going to mention here being a fight montage. It's a fight montage. Jonathan's hitting Blett with a fish. Leo's just somehow stuck in some net. Captain Blett gets a bucket on his head. He runs into the pole 3 times. And again without the bucket because he's just stupid. But Chatter and Jonathan know they're fighting a losing battle right now. They have to retreat under deck. And that's what they do. They go under the deck, and honestly, they have a little funny joke here as well.
Keep them out! Keep them out!
Keep them in! Keep them in!
But it ends as Captain Blett and Leo put the wheel on top of the door to hold them under there. And that's when the episode comes to a close. Woo! Again, 0 to 100 in back-to-back episodes. And again, it seems like the narrator is just more concerned about Chatter's M&Ms.
Will Chatter ever see his M&Ms again?
But while we ignore the narrator, let's go into episode 4, where we have a little bit of a calming moment as Chatter and Jonathan talk to each other. Jonathan tells Chatter the reason why he was thrown overboard is because he knew the secret to the lost island of Anderon. And when Chatter asks him, what was the secret? What's the secret? He tells him he actually doesn't know.
What is the secret?
The secret is... Actually, I don't know the secret.
Why say that you know? What was the gain here from telling him that you know where it is? Because it seems like it backfired in your face. Honestly, champ, I feel like that's kind of on you. You lied, and lying is a sin, by the way. Just saying. But Jonathan also mentions that he was a bit disappointed in Leo because it didn't seem like Leo was all fully bought in on the plan that Blett had by tossing Jonathan overboard. Chatter asks Jonathan if he wants to go to Anderon, which Jonathan says of course so, and the reason why he wants to go to Anderon is much more different than why Blett wants to go to Anderon. Instead of finding Anderon to get all the fame, money, and glory in the world,
I want to be able to tell the people about Jesus.
Yeah, so there's like a weird similarity with Jonathan going to the lost island of Anderon to introduce the people to Jesus. And why I say so is because it's similar to a story back in 2018 regarding this person known as Jonathan Allen Cho. You might know what I'm talking about, but for those who don't know what I'm talking about, sit down, we're going to have a little story time right now real quick. I'm going to read off his wiki, and I'm going to refer to him as Alan so I can differentiate the two. Jonathan's going to be our Jonathan in Chatter, and Alan's going to be Jonathan Alan Cho, of course, in this little Wikipedia story. In his Wikipedia page, Alan was an American evangelical Christian missionary who set out to the northern Sentinel Islands to introduce Christianity to the Sentinelese tribe. And, I don't know if you heard me when I said that, but I said was. And what I mean by was is because he's dead. Alan was unfortunately shot and killed by a bow and arrow on what would be his last attempt on introducing the tribe to Christianity. Mind you, he went to the island multiple times as well, and on what I guess was his third attempt, he was actually shot by a boy with an arrow that actually pierced his Bible that was right by his chest. I'm not gonna lie, when that happens, that's definitely a message from God himself telling you like, hey Alan, it's me, God. I think we should abandon this. You're proving that you're not that guy. This is what the third attempt already, and it's not working out. I think we should stop, because if you do this again, my hands are clean, dude. My hands are clean. All right. Sick. Okay, I'm gonna go now. Catch you in a bit. See ya. The hell was that? Also, don't get me started on the song now. Remember when I told you to remember that song? Whoop! Take it out. We're going back to it. Searching for people who need to be free. What do you mean by that? What do you mean be free? Am I thinking way too much into this? Part of me thinks so, part of me doesn't. I'm just kind of worried. How about this? We find the island, take a picture of it, call it a day. And that's your history lesson of the day. Getting back to it, they want to figure out how they can get out of here so they can go to Anderon and spread the word of Jesus and hopefully survive to tell the tale. That's when Jonathan thinks of the idea of being like, hey Chatter, you're a chipmunk, right? And while he is bigger than your average chipmunk, I don't think that's how chipmunks work. I think they need something to grab onto, whereas a boat is kind of just smooth, right? Am I right? So they hatch this plan and spring it out at night while Captain Blair is sleeping. And while he is sleeping, he's holding the map and Chatter's bag of M&Ms. And in some character development right here, he could have gotten both the map and the M&Ms, but he decides to just get the map. I'm proud of him. He pushed away his love of M&Ms and brought in his love of Jesus to get the map back. I don't know what they're gonna do once they get the map back. I don't know if they thought that through enough, but hey, here's this little funny image of Chatter that I paused it on as I was first watching this. And as Chatter's heading back to Jonathan in the lower deck, he runs into Leo. But before he could do anything, Chatter tells Leo about the nice things Jonathan was saying to him. And now with this knowledge in his head, Leo's kind of, having second thoughts about what he's doing. He's kind of thinking about it a bit more. Is this right what he should be doing? Should he be doing this? I don't think so. But it's too late now because all that talking woke up Captain Blair and now they're fighting over the map. But that's when everything just shit hits the fan. All of a sudden, boom, the map is about to fly away. The wheel is about to go over the deck and the M&Ms are spilling on the floor. The narrator was warning us. And because of that, he doesn't mention the M&Ms after that. He just gave up. And that's where episode 4 ends, on a cliffhanger, with the map about to fly away, the wheel about to fall off the boat, and the M&Ms falling onto the floor. So now let's just immediately go into episode 5 and end off this series. Episode 5 shows us the outcome, with the wheel going overboard, but the map flying onto the lamp, which lights up the area of where the lost island of Anderon is. And wouldn't you believe it? It's right in the middle. What's funny enough, though, is that the same area of where Anderon is the same area of pretty much where Jonathan said, hey, this is where I am. Please rescue me. Can you imagine someone else found the ad and then they flipped it to find the map and they were like, I need to go find this man. I need to go find Jonathan. And so they set out to sail to find Jonathan and they find Anderon and they're like, well, that's not what I'm looking for. Guess I'll go back. There's like a rescue party waiting for them to get back and they're like, oh, did you find the guy on the map? And they're like, no, but I found this island, but it wasn't what I was looking for. And then they're just like, you what? But yeah, kind of hinted in the song where it said the light of the world brings the light of the world bars lit up to the crew where the lost island of Anderon was. And they did it. They found the island. Blair, of course, wants the map back. Again, he is selfish and he wants all the glory. Nobody else can have this glory except for him. But guess who's holding on to the map? It's Leo. So Blair asked Leo for the map back, which Leo does this.
Good job, lad. Hand it over.
No.
He talks. He finally talked, other than the humming that we heard earlier. He talks. He's not on board with Blair anymore. He wants to do what Jonathan and Chad are trying to do, which is spread the word of Jesus and live to tell the tale. Leo is finally an independent person, and he doesn't need no man, only his mop. Jonathan just says, hey, let's share the map. He's not in it for the glory. He just wants to spread the word of Jesus to the people living on the island. But again, Blair reminds us what I've been telling you guys throughout this whole video, is that he is selfish as shit, and he doesn't share. And when he says that, he took Chowder's bag of M&Ms.
I don't share.
That's why I truly do think he is the worst person that we have encountered throughout this whole Chatter series, and it is going to be very hard to top. I hope for the worst of him right now. I hope he burns the roof of his mouth on a piece of pizza right now. That's how bad I want it for him. Vlad then tries to go after the map. He lunges for it, which Leo moves out of the way, and he falls off the boat into the smaller boat and somehow is okay. He's a little dazed, but no other injuries, I guess. And while that problem solved with Blair, they still have the problem that they don't have a wheel to get to Anderon. And that's when Leo makes the bold sacrifice by breaking his mop in half so they can use it as a steering wheel. I guess that works. Okay, it works. It's the next day now, and we see Jonathan steering the boat to get to Anderon, and they make it. They finally make it to Anderon. Jonathan then asks them if they're ready for fame, fortune, and glory with finding this island, and they're like, but are they ready to talk about Jesus to the people on the island? You betcha, they're ready for it.
Well, Chatter, are you ready for fame and fortune? Leo, you ready for glory? Are you ready to tell them about Jesus?
Yeah.
Then all ashore that's going ashore!
And that's when it ends. That's kind of a tease, not gonna lie. Kind of bummed out. And that was High Seas Adventure. Honest to God, probably the most intense Chatter series we've discussed about so far. Missing Pandas was just looking around and maybe something bad happens to Chatter. Wild Frontier was on a field trip with the constant anxiety of trying to figure out how to not get your butt kicked by Wallace Jaw. But High Seas is broken navigation equipment to help find the lost island, and boom, there's a storm. Boom, we hit something. Why does the floor feel wet? Well, that's because boom, the boat has a hole in it. Chatter found the true captain, but boom, Blair is after them. And now it's night and Chatter tries to get the map, but boom, Blair is awake and he spilled all of Chatter's M&Ms. You bastard, why? As for the characters, I think we all can agree that Captain Blair is just scum of the earth. I feel like this is like an alternate version of Wallace Jaw if he didn't have his coming to Jesus moment earlier with Chatter in Wild Frontier. And while Leo's thing with the mob was a bit weird, it was nice to see some character development, character growth with him by sacrificing his mob so that they're, you know, not stuck at sea. And for Jonathan, he seems like his heart's in the right place, but at the same time, I don't think his idea is a smart one. As the characters grouped up in general, they're not as annoying as some characters are from the last ones we covered. For example, Jane and Moose from Missing Pandas, and that one random lady from Wild Frontiers that was clearly on something. Again, watch the video. I don't know what she was for. These characters were fine, and it was also nice that we didn't have a lot of characters to focus about, and we just had 3 really. We didn't have to worry about in the series being like, oh, there's that character, and then forget about them and be like, oh yeah, you're still here. Instead, we had them throughout the whole series, minus Jonathan, who showed up in episode 3. As for the scenery, it was very much simpler in this one, as we really were just focused on the sea and the upper and lower deck of the boat. And as for the message, there's usually a message when it comes to the Chatter Chipmunk series. This one was kind of just thrown in there. And what I mean by that is that you kind of had to like figure it out as you go on throughout the series, whereas this one was like, hey, Blair's pretty selfish. He doesn't want to share the map, but everybody else does. Look what happened when he didn't share the map. Sharing is caring. Boom. That's the message. Not as much Jesus lore as there was with this one. Like, for example, with Wild Frontier, the Jesus lore in that one was with Zacchaeus and, you know, loving thy neighbor type of thing. That tied in with the message of that one, where they didn't really have one to tie in with this one with High Seas. So where would I put High Seas Adventure on my Chatter rankings? These are not final rankings, as I'll probably have a final one way distant into the future. For this one, I did like it a bit more than Wild Frontier. But between this one and Missing Pandas, I think I liked Missing Pandas more. I was thinking B-, but I'm gonna put High Seas Adventure at a solid B. And the B stands for the 5 booms I gave it. Boom! But that's where I'm gonna end this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you did enjoy. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of High Seas Adventure, if you liked it, you hate it, or you're just put your nostalgia of Chatter in the comments below. Again, I like to hear about it. And again, help me find other Chatter series in the comments below that I can record through OBS, or just ways that I can record through elsewhere. Not only that, but it's also so I don't have to resort to the animated Chatter. Sorry, I zoned out there for a sec. Also, subscribe, as that'll put a smile on my face. Now, if you'll excuse me, I too need to find the lost island of Enderon and introduce the people there to the world of sports betting. But, yeah. Okay, bye.